doing some general trend analysis, and I did not make an adjustment to drop the allocation for refuse based on improved service delivery, because I haven't seen it. Now, I believe it's there,
That's what we're asking.
and I can make that adjustment, and then maybe I'll add 0.1% to a couple divisions here and there, and we'll just shuffle it around a little.
We were told 35% reduction in time needed for an hours. So I'm just saying, if it's that minuscule, just tell us. I mean, that's fine too. But we noticed that it didn't go down, it went up. And so
I don't
just
know we
remember-
implemented full automation, did we? Did we put a
Yes,
full
we did.
automation?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
It was full automation with alley service, but it's all full automation, is it not?
Can you describe the difference, maybe? Or maybe, I don't know.
Well, jump in, please. So full automation would be a driver does not ever leave the cab of the truck. The
Yeah.
arm does all of the work.
Okay.
That does not occur 100% of the time. Part of the reason is that many of the areas, particularly adjacent to the business district or in the southeast area where we have UWM pressure, street parking doesn't allow that.
But when we estimated, we knew that too.
Well, let her
Go ahead.
finish her answer.
So I don't wanna put you on the spot, but what do you think, Ron?
Oh, I thought you were looking at me. I was like, well, let me here.
Just, if you're not comfortable, say I'm not comfortable, but as a percentage, how many do you think you can grab without getting out of the truck? Any idea?
More than 20?
So that 30% that you're talking about, that was, that number is from when we calculated how many carts that we felt that we could grab with the automated arm. It was 30% of the village. So it was 30%, that was the number of carts that we felt we could use the automated arm with.
Wow.
And in practice, you're finding it's more like 20, a little bit more than 20 maybe.
It's getting
So it's
better.
an 8% differential.
And to be fair, we could do, we can definitely do more in terms of education. We can do more pieces in the manager's memo, we can do more in Shorewood today, utility bill inserts, however we choose to do that. All of the materials that we did leading up to the deployment of the recycling carts included that information. But it isn't something that we've really been consistently putting in front of people since that.
So I guess what you're saying is the time savings is not, it's not really materializing the way you have thought because people are not understanding how they have to put their garbage bags.
To this point. I think it's still achievable.
Oh, you think,
Sure.
so,
So, I wanna be clear, so moving forward, I don't have to ask the question again, so thank you for providing the information. When we did a cost analysis over providing in-house service and contracting out, that 30 grab was considered in there, I assume, because we did a cost analysis. And so, my notes reflect something different, but I could be wrong. They reflect that the savings we were gonna get from any of our alternatives was in this automation, and the reason was it was gonna reduce staff time. Now granted, we also had the conversation of, well, but then they're just gonna be shifted to another place, which is what we're talking about now in allocation. But that number in my notes says 30 to 35%, so I could have written it down wrong, but I was sold on the automation by the reduction in, cost that went into that analysis. So that's why I keep asking. If it didn't materialize, then next time we go out for a contract bid, I wanna know that so I can ask the right questions.
I think it's definitely something we need to work on improving, and we as the board can try to get that message out too.
and it would also impact parking, because if
Parking.
there's more parking on the
Park up the
street, then
streets, yeah.
it's more
It is
of
in
a
there.
grab, so it's.
I don't mind if the number was not drastically different, the number was, and that's why I'm asking.
Well,
So,
perhaps we just have a different recollection of that discussion.
Can I ask a dumb question? I don't know how we could be 100% automated with picking up in alleys. I'm new to alleys.
We have trucks that can
We have
maneuver in
trucks.
the alleys.
That's
As
it, we
as a
want
matter,
trucks that-
Right, but we're
as a matter of fact, we don't use the automated, we bought 4 trucks, we have 2 of them are with the automated arm, 2 are without. So 2 are with the old school, gotta get out, pull the cart to the truck, so those are the trucks we use in the alleys. Because it was never the board's direction, at least from my notes, that we were gonna require residents to move carts to a position where we could grab them with the automated arm.
Because they'd have to move them to the front
Yeah.
of their home, correct?
Well, or even in the alley.
Or, but there's not a room in the alley. I'm not, okay, I'm just, this is, sorry, I'm just dragging down the conversation.
You
But I just
missed
wanna-
out on many just
Yeah, you don't-
our garbage trucks.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Well, it just appears that our
I
numbers
thought,
are
yeah, I
going
thought
up
we
from
were.
automation,
I
that's
thought we
pretty
were
sad.
getting- I thought we were getting ours in the alley too. I don't know, maybe I'm
I did
misremembering.
too. I know we have Alex.
So arms, so unless there was like a policy decision and like where these are placed, functionally,
Never happened.
no, I mean, so we're like, so unless those things change, we're not 100% automated, end of story. And then, just so cause I don't, I'm caught up in the 30% now that I heard it incorrectly. So 30% of the village, when we talked about this initially, could be fully automated, where there's room to just use the arm. So that's 30%.
30% of the picks, right?
Mm-hmm. What do you mean by picks?
Isn't that times?
Well, again, I might if I'm not wrong, I mean, you
Okay.
have, going down the street, you might be able to get 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10 with the arm, with the other 4 or 5 on the same street, you might have to, if it's parked full, you might have to do the old school way. So it's not like, and there's some streets I'm sure that are lot higher, but other streets, even though they would be potentially fully automated, it's just, so our goal, the target was 30% as far as implementation.
Okay, so it's a target, not
And it also always discounted, or at least from what I'm hearing here, discounted the alley service because that wasn't gonna be practical to do it.
Okay, thank you. I won't ask any more questions, I'm just gonna go right on the Don't
But
be
you said
scared.
for the purposes of this discussion is one interest here is to see if we can reduce any of these numbers. So whatever, if there's a direction, if there's a way to go back and look at that to reduce any numbers, that would be great. And then another moving forward would be about, seeing if we can realize those savings that were anticipated in whatever shape or form, which we can't know now because it's a crystal ball thing. So
Okay.
Is that kind of sum it up for me?
Mhm.
So we can.
I also had a question about recycling rebate, because I understand that the contract that you negotiated is subsequent to the board, that you negotiated a contract that they kept the rebate and reduced their cost to us. So I understand it got included in the contract amount. So the budgeted amount, well, okay, projected is only 3,000 and it's 5,019. Okay, so I'm looking at the contract itself and I see, so it's about the same. I was going from budget to budget, but if you look projected to budget, it's consistent. Okay, forget it.
Are you talking about, I'm sorry, right under salary?
Well, I have a question, because I was looking budget to budget, but she projected is only 3,000, so that's consistent, okay, sorry. Okay,
No, projected is 4,000, correct?
projected recycling rebates, 3,000, and then 19 is 5,000. Professional fees, engineering miscellaneous, that's on page 67. It's 10,000, and I understand that we do ask Mustafa to weigh in on things and that he costs a lot per hour.
We have a new, an RFP for general engineering services. The draft will come to you in October, and then will be issued, and then we would expect to issue a multi-year contract for general engineering services sometime in early 19.
Didn't we just do that?
No.
Not for general engineering services.
Cause we just awarded new stuff at something.
That was for
Project.
That was project, stormwater management plan.
So this is can you just tell me what line you're on, so I know, so it's
the
related?
second to the, from the top, professional fees engineering on page 67, the second line. See, it's,
It's 10,000 rather than
it was
5?
0 in the 18 adopted budget, but the projected 5,000 and now it's 10. So I'm just,
And again, one of the things that I've seen is that we're doing a little bit more engagement on exploratory discussions of different things without being committed to the project itself. And that therefore it's not really a capital item until the project is engaged. So this is the placeholder where, again, general engineering for public works related topics would show for the smaller investigatory,
Can you give an example?
Morris Avenue. You know, we're contracting him to look at the traffic
snow
plan.
dumping,
this
we
and
did
that,
another one, snow dumping, yeah.
You know, so just, you know, things of that nature.
Okay. Do you have more to say?
I have a quick question too.
Go ahead.
Our insurance total seems to have jumped up year over year, 2017, 2018, 2018, 2019. Is there a reason for that?
Which page, I'm sorry.
I'm looking at 65.
Okay.
Just look for the roll off.
Oh.
The second line from the
Oh,
bottom.
insurance down at the bottom.
Yeah.
Well, the 2017 to 2018 was a change of organization of insurance costs. Public Works didn't take any charges for vehicle insurance,
Okay.
and that's now been distributed both to the police department and to Public Works divisions on a percentage of
No,
vehicles,
insurance.
auto insurance. And then, you know, I'd have to look a little more closely between 18 and 19 to see that the difference there. I don't know if I identified that in my summary or not, I just don't recall, but I'd be happy to look at that and give you some feedback.
Okay.
And what about for fringe total, in 17 it was 461, it looks like it's going up to 485 as projected for 18, and did DPW take advantage of the high deductible at all? I would assume that would've went down
Your
on our health plans.
projected compared to budget,
No, compared to actual, 17 to projected 18, those are the actuals.
okay, and again, there's been a lot of staff turnover in the Public Works division, which has led to, I mean, I would have to spend a fair amount of time to explore that.
Well, it's 20 grand, I'm just wondering, because we went to that high deductible, maybe they didn't take, maybe nobody in DPW took the high deductible plan. It'd just be great knowing.
Well, one single employee retires and a family person comes on, there's 20 grand for it. So, I mean, that's
Okay.
just, I mean, and there's probably like 6 different things going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I could try to track it down, just for
It's not very much,
discussion.
don't waste your time.
There's the kids, somebody
And it all
gets
depends
married.
too, on how it's all allocated within the various
It is incredible.
divisions.
Every kid's can
Charges
Sure
to
you need
schools?
children.
I ask myself that every day.
I know, me too.
Oh, that's a bigger question.
I have a question, is damage to properties a year-over-year actual? I know we only have 3 years here, but
What page are you on?
page 66. So I know we talked about snow removal charges the last time. But damage to properties, is that an expense that is year after year?
Well, damages to property occur when basically somebody rams a car into a street light or a street pole or fire hydrant or whatever the particular.
Is there an
thing.
average that can be pulled from that at all?
Yeah, the average is 0. It's a revenue neutral, it's reimbursable through insurance claims reimbursement, and that would be about the middle of the page 67, property damage is reimbursable. And which is also 0 budget, so those numbers will tend to correlate. We have every expectation that we're not gonna have anybody run into light poles and things like that, but it does happen, so.
Well, they don't correlate though, for projected.
Well, there's some processing lags on insurance claims, and when we have to, I mean, obviously we have to repair our light poles immediately, and then the insurance claims will come in.
And then charges for service to schools, it looks like it doubles from projected 2018 end of the year. Almost doubles. Is there a reason?
I can tell you in a minute, I think.
Page 66.
Page 66, and it's, right under
It's
page.
strictly the school, anticipated school fuel allowance. And I will have to redo that math, I think. That's pulled from the detail sheet on page 73, but I'm pretty sure that math is bad. So I'll apologize for
Might
that.
get a
I'll
couple
update it. I think you're gonna get a couple $1,000s, but you're losing revenue
No.
though.
Seriously, no,
They add up.
I'm excited.
But you're losing
I'm literally-
revenue, sorry, it
Alright,
goes the other way.
Oh, go ahead.
So, don't tell her.
Wes,
Uh-oh,
did
we're
you,
going
Wes,
the
did you,
wrong way.
did you have a
Yeah,
question or
but-
did you ask it? Oh, you
No, I
asked
asked
it,
it,
alright.
I asked it.
Okay, I have a big one. Municipal garage. Could we,
What
when,
page?
oh, that's 68. When we're doing our organizational study, could we look at contracting out? What that would mean if that would,
Insurance is a bitch.
what that would mean in terms of services, and cost?
We do,
Next year.
is that?
I'm just, it's
Oh,
not something
oh,
for the
got it.
budget, I'm just saying, is it something we could explore, just try to get some numbers on? And then winter maintenance, the overtime on that 20,000, I mean, again, this is a service issue. If we, delay a little bit, getting the roads absolutely clear, is it possible we could save some money on that overtime budget if we,
And isn't that just sort of like the luck of the draw when the storm hits, and the day of the week it is, and per year, or is?
To a large extent. You know, typically, the general public's expectation is that, we will have roads passable, prior to the start of the morning rush. And if we have an overnight storm or a late afternoon storm, that, you know, that means overtime. There's really no getting around that.
Because I'm assuming that's why in 2016 it was such a high number, but then 2017 was such a low number. So it's obviously hard to predict that.
It's almost
Impossible.
impossible to predict. Yeah.
Can I ask you,
I mean,
I don't know
can
if that
we,
answers
can
the
we, I
question,
mean,
but-
I think, yeah, people in town do have a very high expectation that roads are gonna be cleared. But, you know, like we talked about at the beginning, I mean, we do have to start, either we have to start this, doing a pretty hefty levy increase, or we have to start changing some expectations. So I just throw this out there, is this one of the expectations that maybe we wanna talk about? I don't know.
that just brings me, and while we're thinking about it going out there, winter maintenance is, from my understanding, why we need to staff up in the wintertime, because, you know, forestry isn't as active, and, but you need to make sure that if there's a winter storm, that you have people on staff. Same thing with vehicles, I mean, there's a lot of when we get into vehicles at summertime, but I'm assuming we need them for snow. And so there is a lot of, I believe, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but if there was a portion of winter maintenance, if not all, if there is like alleys or something that might make sense, it's not as urgent, or, you know, just some options out there of what do we get in savings in terms of different ways to structure winter maintenance?
like service delivery options, various
Well,
service delivery options on
Yeah,
who
because I
gets
think, from
priority
my
and
understanding,
who's secondary, that kind of
winter
thing.
operations guides how much staff we really need year round. So that's where you'd start, and because then you would be able to determine
I mean,
other service levels.
And I don't want to speak for both of you, but it seems like you're sort of saying the same thing, like, if we could prioritize, you know, based on when a storm hits, like, could we pick some way to save in some overtime options? You know, and maybe create some sort of policy with,
That's one way.
if it's, I mean, it's hard to say, you know, if it occurs between this hour and this hour, you know.
I'm also saying one step
Yeah.
further, which is, is there a base that we can provide if we keep it in-house and contract out for something for those days, so you're not keeping, I'm talking
I
out of terms,
understand.
I don't have the data in front of me, so I don't want, I'm probably misstating, but the concept is, if you are staffing up so that you can get to that storm, you know, so you have enough people in the vehicles, that's your whole staffing level, but if you knew that there's gonna be, I think it averages about 3 to 4 storms, big storms, like, at least in those brochures that I read from 2015, 14, 13. You know, is there a piece of it that you can, kinda like inspections, when load's high, you bring them in, when load's low, you don't, so that's just a way that other municipalities have managed it, but I don't know how it would affect operations here.
With other staff, Bart, you're.
Wow.
Yeah, one wants to see that.
I mean, I just jotted down in my notes that would be something you'd like to bring forward for the 2020 budget.
I just got an Uber app, by the way. I want everyone to know this. I'm sharing it with the business community. Maybe you can help out. But where, if it snows, everyone's like, oh, everyone's tied up. There's an Uber app where the people come and do it right away. Like, there's a new service going out there. So technologies are changing. I just want to make sure that we aren't saying the same thing from 10 years
Go
ago.
ahead, Ann.
I was just gonna say, one question is there a way to look at that and capture some funds
Yeah,
for David, trustee Menta's list?
yeah.
But then there's also an organizational analysis around staffing levels and what could that look like, and that's a longer discussion that won't happen by October 22nd. So I think we're split.
I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess the question for the board here today is, are there 2019, you know, service discussions we're gonna have, or potential savings? I mean, the other area is in summertime and plantings and containers and, you know, that, I mean, I think, and that's another thing that people will complain about, oh, it used to be so pretty and we used to have all these pretty flowers and now we don't.
But that was a pretty low, I mean, not that we shouldn't
It's
look
big.
at it.
Well,
Services.
yeah, I mean, so.
There are different ways of looking at that, those cuts.
There's like median planting, the other big one is, salt, but that's another discussion, but I mean, I just threw it out to ask the
Yeah.
board, is that something we wanna tackle and talk about for 19 and look for potential savings? The other thing is there's, again, the same situation we had in planning and development, we have a vacancy, I believe, one in facilities maintenance and the other vacancy is
A route
a route
collector.
collector. So, I mean, you know, again, we have